Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Thursday's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We study the ancient literature of India, which is like a treasure, a valuable treasure, worth more than any earthly treasure. Yesterday, I was YouTube searching most valuable treasures found in upstate New York.
Why?
That's how I fell asleep last night. Why? Because it's interesting. It's interesting.
What is your fascination, though? What?
With treasures? I don't know.
I mean, it's beyond with you, it's beyond interesting. It's like you're fascinated by it.
It's fascinating. It's like, I don't know. What is it? I kind of analyze. I don't know what it is.
They're in your astrological chart, your interest in this kind of thing.
I'm really interested in stuff like the guys doing demo at some house and in the wall. This guy found like a whole cachet of
alcohol.
Of Morgan dollars. Morgan dollars.
I've never even heard of Morgan dollars.
You ever heard of a Morgan dollar? What do you know about treasure, Kaustubha?
I don't know. But no, I told you about that guy in upstate New York. It's probably pretty close to you that like he had this really old house and he started renovating it and they were kind of like taking down the walls. And in the wall, it was like somehow kind of like in the lower foundation, somehow hidden in there.
Yeah, they didn't have
structure.
Banks back then.
They
didn't trust the banks.
Was like 1,000 bottles of like this moonshine alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like worth like $1,000 a bottle or something. It's just, you never know what's in those walls.
You know what's also interesting around here? You find, if you walk in the woods and stuff like that, you find like private family gravestones, like private family graves. That's a thing around here, just with like 2 people in it.
All right. Let's rather than go on full day squirrel. What's going on, Mara? Can you take the mic there? What's going on with this?
Good morning, Kaustubha.
Good morning, Mara.
Might be a good time for announcements.
It might be a very good time. Some sobering announcements. He's losing. You're gonna have to take him back in for hernia surgery. What's going on over here?
We've lost him entirely. All right, we got a Bhakti recovery group meeting at noon today. Tomorrow morning, Josh Kane is offering his asana class for our Patreon members at 10:30 a.m. And then Saturday show will be at 7 a.m.
Oh, Q&A at 7.
Yeah, Q&A day.
You know who I'm going to interview this Sunday?
Yeah, because I'm not doing the interview Sunday, because Steve is doing the interview Sunday. We are doing 7 a.m. Q&A day Saturday.
That's right.
Who's the interview with?
It's with this devotee, Naveen Krishna Das. Naveen Krishna, who's from London. He's got a fascinating history. He was involved in... we'll talk about it, but like some really important things in the history of the development of bhakti in England, and but he's also like spearheaded this the Avanti schools in England. You know about those, Raghunath?
I know the Avanti family. They're a very well-to-do, charitable family.
Well, that's another thing. I'm talking about these
Is
schools.
Oh, I don't know, but didn't they spearhead these schools? I mean, or they
It
supported them?
sounds
I guess
likely
that's
they
why
might
it's called a
help fund
Bunty,
them or
right?
something like that. But
Maybe I'm totally wrong.
I have no idea.
Okay,
But
we'll find
we can
out
find out.
Sunday.
We can find out.
Hmm.
But these are schools that throughout England, there's thousands of students, but like they've built in a devotional bhakti kind of curriculum, a yoga curriculum, a ethical, moral, bhakti related curriculum. So I'm looking forward to finding out more about that.
It's like a regular school.
Well, I mean, they're accredited school,
Okay, it's not like Sunday school.
No. These are schools that you send your kids for going to school, for their education.
England is really it's pretty impressive with their bhakti, with their bhakti community.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of Indian Gujaratis that have been there for a while, and they're established like in the West. And then, you get to this point where like, okay, I want to go out of India. I want to, whatever. Sometimes people's drive to go west and make something of ourselves, and it seems like, and I'd like to hear like how it happened when so many Indians came there. I think in the 60s or 70s maybe. And then they established themselves. And then it's sort of like, it gets one of those things when you get economic development, and you go, well, now what do we do with our lives? And so many of them were so connected with their roots, their foundational spiritual cultures. They started getting really serious, and their kids got really serious. So there's a massive Indian community, very serious about bhakti, which I'm sure you saw that when you were there as well.
Yeah.
It's quite impressive.
It is. So
Yeah.
he'll be a good person to speak to about that.
Oh.
So that's on Sunday. But there's another announcement to make.
Yeah.
And where did Mara go? Bring her back.
She's coming. She's going to get me a hot mushroom drink.
Okay. So
It sounds delicious.
We was at 6 p.m. yesterday. I think even a little earlier. I think it kicked off. But people could begin to sign up for the sage groups. And so if you want to take a next step in bhakti, if you listen to the podcast and you want to begin to incorporate these practices and these teachings and this culture more deeply into your life, the next step is you join a sage group. It's a weekly, about an hour and a half or so, small group get-togethers online through Zoom meetings, where you can open up, ask your questions, discuss, make some friends, get a little guidance, or whatever. It's perfect for all of that. So it's great transformational experience in the small groups.
Next step in our community building. And it's one of the highlights of this podcast, I really feel.
Yeah. And so yesterday began we do them in about, I think this next one is like a 14-week commitment. You get together once a week for 14 weeks, and then it breaks, and then they do it again. Then they create new groups, and people shuffle around in different groups. So yesterday we opened it up. 180 people have signed up already.
Oh, wow.
And Mara's group is up there. You can see like how many slots.
Mara's group, they don't talk. They just sit there and knit.
No
one talks.
And out of the 8 slots available, 5 have been filled. So there's only 3 spots left in Mara's group. So if you want to get in Mara's group, you got to move fast.
Are you doing it with Bobby this year? Oh, it's Mara and Bobby Marchand.
Mara and Bobby, yeah.
Awesome.
So
that's a good group.
It's still open, but you got to move fast. You want to get in Mara's group.
But no talking.
Yeah, people are already saying, "Oh, I tried to sign up in this group. It was already booked." Yeah, so move fast if you want to get in your particular group. Okay.
Well, all right. Well, we're having a little save a weekend at the farm this weekend. So Saturday we're gonna have a big live.
Okay.
And so, looking forward to
it.
You
usually are a little out of control when it gets live.
I get a little excited, don't I?
When you have
get
an
a little
audience,
excited. Like, give me an audience, I lose it. This is a great nugget. This is from a person named Tom Robbins.
Yeah, prolific American novelist.
Check out this. This is so me. Ever read a quote, you're like, oh, I should have said this.
Well, you got your.
I want credit for this quote because this is something I would say.
Okay.
The world is wonderfully weird place.
Consensual, wonderfully weird place, right?
A wonderfully weird place. Consensual reality is significantly flawed. No institution can be trusted. Certainty is a mirage. Security is a delusion. And the tyranny of the dull mind forever threatens. Ooh, I like that one, huh? But our lives are not as limited as we think they are. All things are possible. Laughter is holier than piety. I believe that. Freedom is sweeter than fame. Oh, I believe that. And in the end, it's love and love alone that really matters. It seems like any thinking person gets to this conclusion.
Well, if they're thinking well, I think, yeah.
If they're
But
thinking
yeah,
well.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
nice, huh?
I think so. I think this in a sense it kind of captures this theme that we've been speaking on this week, where we started on Monday, I think it was Monday, right? Where you have like it takes kind of two eyes.
Yeah.
If we're looking into this world, it takes an eye of material pessimism, and that's where he hit. He started there, right? He says consensual reality is significantly flawed. We all come to an idea of what is real, and it may be not real at all. Even just the most fundamental thing, like I am this body, right?
Right.
That's not real, actually. We're not these bodies. And no institution can be trusted. It's a fact that we have such a difficult time. Anything that it begins to expand, the flaws will begin to show. We have a difficult time working
Certainty
together.
is a mirage.
Certainty is a
I'm
mirage.
certain about this.
And then because
I've checked all the facts.
It's the nature of this world that's constantly
Then a new
changing.
set of facts come. Oh,
Yeah.
It was actually the complete opposite.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Security is a delusion. We work hard
Security is a
to be
delusion.
safe and secure. But the fact is we're very vulnerable at every moment, and that's just the reality.
That's just the reality. Even if you build the highest fence and you have cameras on your property and you're so much artillery, you can get, Lyme disease from a little bug smaller than
That's
your
right.
fingernail.
Yeah.
It's amazing how actually vulnerable we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the tyranny of dull minds forever threatens. I mean, God,
I
you just look
suffer
at the
with
world
that.
leaders.
I
It's
suffer with that myself.
tyranny of dull minds.
Yeah, I feel like my dull mind is sometimes tyrannical. Tyrannical.
I mean, I was taking it more on like a political level, like
Oh, really? I was taking it on a personal level.
Okay, I guess it could be looked at both ways.
The tyranny of dull minds
forever threatens. But then, then he takes it to that kind of spiritual optimism. But hold it, all things are possible, right?
Yeah, this is the much bigger picture. This is the using two eyes to see.
Yeah. And I think he touches, I do think these two things he listed, laughter is holier than piety.
That's huge.
That's not any laughter, Raghunath. Not all.
Yeah, I guess there is evil laughter. The devil laughs. Yeah.
but the idea that in the word piety,
yes.
I think it has implications. I'm not sure exactly how he's using it. One definition of piety is a belief or point of view that is accepted with unthinking conventional reverence. Right. So, I think it has a lot to do with, and I see this not only like
a dogmatic piety.
Yeah. Like, and that it exists not only in religious institutions, but it also exists within how we think politically, like the things that we accept unthinkingly, as in a sense, like religiously, and we become very hardened by these things, and it hardens us against one another. Whether someone's from a different religious group, whether someone's from a different political group, we begin to not even question our own beliefs. We begin to snap into what we believe are the accepted views of our group, and we harden ourselves against one another. Whereas laughter is when you take life just a little, you take yourself a little bit less seriously.
You ever see laughing yoga?
I mean, I've seen.
Ever see people practice laughing yoga? It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I wasn't so impressed myself.
I was. Hey, you know
Okay.
what? It's like the first thing in the morning. You're with a bunch of people. You're standing up and you're just laughing. I was in India somewhere and they were practicing, and they were just
Yeah.
laughing and laughing. And you know what it made me do? Laugh.
I thought it was ridiculous when I saw it, honestly.
You know why? Because you
Right.
haven't surrendered yet.
Yeah, I'm not going to surrender to that.
You better
but
surrender.
I'm
You
not
better
gonna
surrender. You're surrendering right now. You're
I
smiling.
have no
I'm
problem
making you
laughing,
laugh.
but I don't have to go and do it artificially and call it yoga.
You know what? If it connects you with other people and with God, then it's
I
yoga.
don't think I need that to connect with other people, and I don't know if that connects me with God.
Why not? I think it could help take the edge off.
All right. Anyway, let's drop that. but,
Let me help you.
and then he gets to the real point, right? In the end, right? It's love and love alone that really matters. That is our bhakti philosophy,
Yes.
right? We're moving through a world that's dangerous, that's disappointing, that's like a mirage, that's insecure, that's full of tyranny. It's a mess, no doubt.
Mhm.
But we know within all things are possible, right?
How about freedom is sweeter than fame?
I was trying to wrap this up around.
No, it's just so good. You want to tease this out forever.
Go tease it.
Freedom is sweeter than fame. You know, the fame is so attractive
Yeah.
that even very wealthy people can't
They
have
want
it.
Yeah.
No, oftentimes they want it. Like people who just know how to make money, and they're thinking, now, how can I turn this into fame? And they can't. It drives them crazy. Maybe they start a band or something. And sometimes people who are famous are not wealthy. You know, like Toni Braxton lost all her money. I think she had declared bankruptcy. Sorry to bring Toni Braxton into this morning, but I mean, but fame, they're just two different energies, and you can't necessarily. But fame is sort of like, wow, you're the center, and with that being the center comes a lot of love. And like we said yesterday, like Parmanand, if you didn't hear Parmanand's story yesterday, go back and listen to it. Fame brings a lot of people who hate your guts for no good reason, and it becomes actually very painful. And
Well,
so it appears very, very attractive, like a baited hook.
These are Krishna's opulences. Fame is his opulence, right? Wealth is his opulence. He's all attractive, and he possesses all of these things, and he can handle it. And we want to try to take some of that opulence for ourselves.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah, and
these are the opulence.
fact,
Krishna can handle.
He can handle
that
it.
energy.
We can't. Even a little bit of fame, even a little bit of wealth. We start to fall apart, and you see that again and again. It takes a very mature person to be able to handle those, even in the tiny doses. Like even like worldwide fame, in one sense, is a tiny thing because we're just on this tiny little planet in this universe, which is relatively tiny within. Even a tiny little bit of this stuff, we start to get confused, and it starts. And that's why you see all those. We talk about those documentaries. Like, what was the documentaries about all the different rock stars that just
where are they now?
That kind of thing. Yeah,
the VH1
behind the music.
Yeah.
And so
it was always a sad story.
It was always the same.
It was never sort of like he was a great rock star and then he became an organic farmer. It was always something like he was a great rock star and then he just lost his mind when the fame went away.
Maybe those stories are less. Maybe those stories are less entertaining, so they don't cover them as much. If people did that, I mean, there are people that just kind of walk away from it all. Maybe they're sometimes a little wiser. They're just like, you know what, I'm not into this.
Yeah, Cat Stevens became sort of like the serious Muslim spiritualist.
Yeah, but those arcs were always the same. They're unknown. They start to get a hit. Everything's real exciting. All their desires are starting to get fulfilled, but then they can't handle it. Too much fame, too much money, too much sex, too much drug. They crash. Usually there's a car crash involved or a motorcycle accident involved.
Yeah.
And then they kind of come back with their tail between their legs and humbled a bit, and they try to,
write their memoir.
Write their memoir. So we can't, we're struggling for that. Here's the theme, right? Let Krishna be the attractive one. Right?
This is Krishna. This is, Vyasadeva, who we offer obeisance to when we start this. The author, his father, his name was Parashara Muni. He was a great sage, and he coined this phrase Bhagavan, and Bhagavan means the one who has all of those opulences in full.
Yeah.
So the wealth, the fame, the strength, the knowledge. We get a little bit knowledge and we forget that where we're getting it from. That's why we offer obeisances to Saraswati. This is all coming from Saraswati. That's the beautiful thing about this culture. We're not accepting even what we have as ours. Saraswati has loaned us this knowledge, this information. Lakshmi has loaned us this wealth. Yeah. We see, and the way you don't burden yourself with these things is you offer it back. You use it in service of. Just like the teller of the bank will hold perhaps millions of dollars in their hand each day, maybe. But they're handing it back to the bank. They're putting it in the bank. They're not once they take even $1. Imagine if I was the teller and Kostuba comes in with a trunk load of cash that he found during a treasure hunt. And I was like, okay, you want this in your account? Sure. And I take one of the dollars and put it in my pocket. Then I become a thief, even for that $1. So all the celestial demigods and due to our karma and Krishna and information are showering us with opulences, fame, wealth, intelligence, etc. But it's not ours. We have to look at it as not ours. We offer it back in service. I have some money. How can I use this money in service of God? I have some intelligence. How can I engage this intelligence? I have some charisma. How can I be charismatic to serve God? This is everything we got is meant to offer back. And then we become untouched, just like the bank teller. They're just doing their job there and they're getting great satisfaction. Once they steal, they become thieves and they become burdened by that.
And so therefore freedom is sweeter than fame, right?
Booyah. On a side note, if anyone wants to sponsor Prashad for this weekend, for our Seva weekend, I'm throwing that out there now. You can direct message me on Instagram.
All right.
Sponsor Prashad, $600. Feed 35 Vaishnavas.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
How are you? Ready? Let's dive into this.
All right.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatojayam mudirayat. Before reciting our Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being. Unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. And to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Midatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
See, this is where Mary used to be right there, ready for us. But now where is she?
She's here. She's like in the wings, we call it. In the wings. She's eager. She's on the edge of her seat with her hands on her chin.
No, but she used to tell us where we were in the Bhagavatam.
I know, we liked her there. She was criticized and she's hurt. Now she's retreating.
Well, she can still pop in at this time.
She feels dumb.
What are you talking about?
She's like, no, I don't. Let me explain her feelings before I ask her what her feelings are. How do you feel, Mara? Text 13. How do you feel? Tell us how you feel. I feel fine. Knit. Knit your emotions into that chutter.
Okay,
no,
Raghunath.
I think I've hurt her feelings now. I'm sorry. You say stupid things sometimes. Okay, text 13. Sometimes to mitigate distresses. Oh, this is one we ended with. Yeah, right. We were like, wow, this is a lot here. Right?
Did we?
I think so.
13? I don't think we did.
I think in 12 we were like, oh, this is a lot.
I think we read 12, and now we have 13.
Okay. Sometimes to mitigate distresses in the forest of the material world. We're talking about the analogy of the material world as like a jungle. Yeah. Sometimes to mitigate the distress in the forest of the material world.
Yeah.
the conditioned soul, that's us, receives cheap blessings from atheists. And what would that be? A blessing from an atheist?
I think here,
like a rock star coming to the edge of the stage and like, fist bumping you. Is that a cheap blessing from an atheist?
No, as I read this whole thing and think about it and read the commentaries, I think it really has more to do with people that aren't truly connected, like people that aren't imposters in different ways and so on. So in other words, who do you get a blessing from? You get a blessing from someone that's connected to that divine source. Well, what if you're getting blessings from someone that isn't? Maybe is posing as that.
Sure. Now, we see this in India a lot. A lot
Yeah.
of times, regular Indians, I say people who are like so inspired by bhakti, they'll go to a holy person and they'll ask for material blessings. They're not going to ask, please give me bhakti. See, we're a lot of people in America don't even understand the entire culture. They just know that material life stinks. I've heard of this bhakti thing. How can I get that? And that's what we're doing with Wisdom of the Sages. We're not teaching them. Sometimes we mention it, but we're not teaching how to climb heavenly planets and get some material piety. We're going right to the essence, jumping over all that stuff. We're saying we don't want more stuff, even metaphysical stuff or higher planetary stuff in our next life. We want to go right to Krishna. We want to experience pure bhakti in this lifetime. So we say it's all nonsense. We barely even mention it. But a lot of times in India, you'll see people going up to a holy person and say, give me blessings. Please help me get a child, a son, a good marriage. Give me wealth, and the sadhu will tap them on the forehead
from all of the distresses of this jungle that they're going through, right?
And it's probably been like that all over the world. Like the people going to Christ, please help me, I'm blind. Please help me, I'm crippled. Please help me, I'm go through it. Please help me with some material facility.
So there'll be an interesting metaphor for what that kind of person here.
So that's a sort of a cheap. They're giving something, but yes, the story of. Okay, keep on. He then loses all intelligence in that association. This is exactly like jumping in a shallow river. As a result, one simply breaks his head.
Okay,
just like my mom would say, don't jump in those rivers head first.
Your mother had a big thing about that.
Huge thing about it.
So in other words, we suffer in this world, and we're like, well, how will my suffering end? Let me go to church. Let me go to this holy man. Let me go. I'm hoping that they're going to give me some relief. Mm-hmm. But if that person is just an imposter, if that's a person that's taken that position just to gain some fame or some wealth, some followers, whatever it may be, then you're thinking it's like if it's a hot day and you're dying of thirst and you see, there's a beautiful river that I can just dive into and get complete relief. Mm-hmm. And you dive in and it's super shallow and you just hit the bottom immediately. It appeared like it would give me relief. It's not giving any relief. So
as we were saying earlier, as it seems like fame, wealth, etc., that will give me relief. All I need is money. All I need is fame.
But here it's speaking about one specific way. Like, in other words, we're hearing what this chapter is doing is saying there's all these different ways that we suffer in this world, and we go through these different patterns, and in all those different sufferings have been listed so far, and then this unique one is being mentioned here, that now you're suffering so much you turn to someone that you think is going to give you some spiritual blessings, some
that's what I was
from your suffering, and you dive into it, and you see it was a facade.
Well, my point was they give you blessings. They give you those material blessings.
Okay.
They give you those things, and it's not actually what you actually need.
That's why when they're not even giving you those blessings, maybe it's just they're saying they're giving you that blessing too, right? It's just like the whole thing's artificial.
And there's that famous story of Lord Chaitanya where they approach him, please give me blessings. I bless that your material life be destroyed. Do you remember that?
I remember.
Lord Chaitanya gives blessings that their material life.
Like, hold it. I didn't want.
Wait, no. I want my material life enhanced. Watch out when you ask a real holy person for a blessing.
So let's continue with this verse. He jumped in, simply broke his head.
Jumped in, broke his head in that shallow river. He's not able to mitigate his sufferings from the heat, and in both ways he suffers. The misguided conditioned soul also approaches so-called sadhus and swamis who preach against the principles of the Vedas.
I tell you, a lot of the biggest names, so-called guru figures, they're actually speaking totally against what these beautiful, insightful
Interesting.
texts teach. Right?
And the Bhagavatam is calling them out right here.
Yeah.
We're not saying it. We're not judging. Bhagavatam is calling them out.
Yeah.
Because what's the principle of the Vedas? Bhakti Vedanta. Bhakti is the final conclusion. It's the ending conclusion of all knowledge. He does not receive benefit from them either in the present or in the future. Right? Those blessings don't manifest into anything.
That's right.
You know, that's why I love, I mean, you know, I love India more. You know, it's my favorite place to go on pilgrimage. I love the culture. I love the food. I love the people. I love everything about it. But I love Americans or people from the West because they've just done it all. And they've done it all and they've hit a rock bottom and they're just sort of like, they're at that stage in spiritual development where they just go, now what do I do? Now I've done it all. Now what? And they're just like in the gutter, you know, looking at the light. How do I get there? I've done it all. And it's that feeling that is sort of like that can trampoline them to their spiritual trajectory. There's no more faith in the material world. They've had it all. They've tasted it all. They've drank it all. They've spent it all. They've been everywhere. Now what? It's very exciting.
Okay.
Because you have to actually become materially exhausted to move forward.
Speaking of moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Text 14.
Text 14. I do it to you too. Text 14. In this material world, when the conditioned soul cannot arrange for his own maintenance, despite exploiting others, he tries to exploit his own father or son, taking away that relative's possessions, although they may be very insignificant. Ouch. Exploit their own father or son. If he cannot acquire things from his father, son, or other relatives, he's prepared to give them all kinds of trouble.
Yeah. You just have to go into these courts, right? Go into these courts of law. This stuff is happening every day. It's so heartbreaking. Families fight with one another. They're suing one another. All these bitter conflicts
within family.
Yeah,
it's sad.
Another misery of this world.
In this world, family life is exactly like a blazing fire in the forest. There is not the least happiness. Ooh, I'm being really deep and philosophical here. And gradually one becomes more and more implicated in unhappiness. In how, you know what? My father had a good friend. It was like a nephew of his. But they were sort of the same age. And they were like good friends of our family. And we were friends with our cousins. And it was just sort of like, it was very sweet and intimate. And then they started some side business together and there was some conflict. And literally they never spoke together. There was just like a bitterness between the families.
It's not at all uncommon.
For the rest of my life, until my father was in a coma and they came back and they made some amends. You know, my father was out of it. But isn't that sad? That happens on a regular basis to like good people, pious people.
I remember you and I were, you rocking out.
What?
So we even see this sometimes in India, like we'll go to these markets and we kind of get to know the people there over the course of years. And sometimes you see like there's the families go into business together and then they begin to fight, like maybe the sons of the father, you know, and they fight and then they break it into two businesses and they're working like right across the street from one another. They're in the same family and they're not talking to each other. Right.
With the same name.
But I remember that happened with one shop.
Yeah.
And we were in there together and you said, just like in a lighthearted way, you said something like, so is this just one of these things where you kind of expanded or you just don't talk to each other anymore? Like you were saying it almost like a joke, but the way they responded to it was like, yeah.
We talk.
even though they're practically next door to each other. So it's just a
Lori
fact.
Pack says Chotiwala. Ever see, in Rishikesh, there's the famous Chotiwala, and there's a family business also.
Yeah.
And they're right next to each other, and they're like competing for business.
It's
They're both,
heartbreaking,
they
but
both keep the same name.
Yeah. But this is a fact. This is not an uncommon thing at all. Fighting over inheritance,
Inheritance.
inheritances.
Inheritances.
Yeah.
An inheritance.
It's not at all uncommon.
Yes. And it's
I think you're
always
halfway through this.
over something petty too, like some money.
That's what it's usually about.
Just over a little money.
Please continue, Raghunath. We got to make some. If we don't move through this chapter, we're going to be talking about negativity for a long time.
You know what though? It's good to reflect on this stuff.
It is. I just don't want
holding a resentment for life with people that you love for a lifetime, for 10 years, for 20 years, over something very trite. It's one thing if the person was really abusive. It's another thing. It's a little thing of money. A little thing, and then you just chopped off a big portion of love of love you were having with these people.
Well, that's what this verse is going to say next. Keep going.
Okay.
Being implicated in home life.
Being implicated in home life. The conditioned soul is burned by fire of lamentation. Sometimes he condemns himself as being very unfortunate, and sometimes he claims that he suffers because he performed no pious activities in his previous life.
Now I'm suffering.
Yeah, what have I done? Generally, people don't say that, and because we don't believe in a previous life. So generally, we don't say, "Oh, I've lost everything due to my impious activities." Who says that?
Well,
but that's how devotees think, right?
In India, they might say that. Yeah,
they'll say, "What have I done to deserve this? I must have." But they'll take responsibility. They'll say, "I must have done something horrible, and now I've, this happened."
Text 16.
We just say, "Why me?" Government men are always like carnivorous demons. They really are. Sometimes these government men turn against the conditioned soul and take away all his accumulated wealth.
This is another thing.
I just met a lady, a friend of mine, who said that she got hit by the IRS for $1 million. She got like a bill from the IRS for $1 million, and she just, it's just like, and she's very hardworking lady, very astute at business, and they're like, she's like, this is 100% wrong, and it was just like 2 years of suffering to get this thing reduced. Okay,
but these things happen in all different kind of ways too. I mean, a new government takes over, and they take all your wealth. Or
that happens all the time.
Yeah, all kind of things like that, or different things like in India they pulled that thing where because there's so many criminals that had accumulated so much wealth that Modi just said, you know what, tomorrow all large bills just like you got like a week. Yeah, and so people that had stacks and stacks of money, the next day, if you can't explain how you have all of accumulated all this money, it's gone the next day.
Yeah, they said all 500 rupee notes are worth nothing. You've got like 3 days to bring them to the bank and trade them in for the new ones, and you have to have all accounting of how you got it.
Yeah.
Woo.
But so in so many ways, what to speak of things like inflation, it just takes one person at the Fed, to like change the interest rates or do, and suddenly all this wealth that we had, I invest in this corporation, I buy tons of stocks, and then the government can create a new regulation, and boom, what I had one day is like practically worthless the next day. People that can create a lot of wealth, then it's only then that you begin to realize how quick it can go. It can disappear in a moment.
That is right on. Okay, sir.
Please continue.
Government men are like carnivorous demon. Indeed. Okay. Being bereft of life's reserved wealth, the conditioned soul loses all enthusiasm.
I worked so hard.
You ever get so broke, you're like, I don't want to go on. You know what's worse? When you have so little money and somehow like the bank is like, oh, you don't have any money in your bank? We're going to tax you for that. Like, what? Wait a second. I have no money. Yeah, I know. Because of that, you owe us $30 now. I was like, didn't you hear what I said? I have no money. Yeah, you can't have no money in the bank.
We're going to charge you for that.
We're charging you for being broke. I was like, but
so please continue.
Indeed, it is as though he loses his life. Yeah, I know. Oh my
okay,
God.
what's the next misery?
I've been so broke where it's just like, you know what? And everyone is just taxing you and hitting you with overdraft charges. And you're just like, I don't care. I don't care.
I lose all enthusiasm.
I don't even care. Yeah, I've lost all. The Bhagavatam knows this. This has been happening from time immemorial. People have been getting taxed by these banks forever.
I tell you, one principle in life, Raghunath, and this is there in Mahabharata. We could find it. You know, I think it's even when Yudhishthira was being questioned by the Yaksha.
Yeah.
I think he mentions this principle. I forget exactly how he phrases it. You never want to be in debt. You know?
Yeah.
We've created this world where it's like we create these little plastic cards and encourage people to go into debt. Debt brings anxiety. You know?
That brings anxiety, doesn't
it? It gives us the opportunity to live beyond our means, and then we suffer for that, you know, coming out the other side. If you make a firm resolve, I won't go into debt, you save yourself a lot of anxiety. It may mean living simpler, but it could save you tons of this kind of suffering in the jungle, you know.
That being said, have you seen the new iPhone 14? I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Just
go on a payment plan. Okay.
Yeah,
next.
especially. But you know what? If I say if a person hits zero in their bank account, I say the bank should, instead of tax them $30, say, here's $5. Good luck. Good
Get
luck.
started again.
You get $5. If you're at zero, you get $5.
Okay. Text 17.
Text 17. Sometimes the conditioned soul imagines that his father or grandfather has again come in the form of his grandson, or his son or grandson. In this way, he feels happiness. One sometimes feels in a dream. And the conditioned soul sometimes takes pleasure in such mental concoctions. That sounds like me.
It's a very Indian thing here.
Is it right? Like, yeah, my father's passed away, but this child was born and my grandson was born. This must be my father. That's probably for a person who really thinks in past lives and stuff like that.
Now you're taking shelter of delusion to try to heal your wounded heart.
Yeah. Okay. Text 18, continuing on with the miseries of life.
The miseries continue.
Let the miseries flow. We are just analyzing the miseries so we don't stick our head in the sand and say, life's a beach, everything's good. Life is good. And then all these miseries happen and we were just like, what am I doing so wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. This is the material world. You're like in an abandoned, collapsing building. We're saying, prepare your spiritual identity.
Okay.
In the household life, one is ordered to execute many yagyas and fruitive activities, at least in India.
Yeah, but even there's the wedding
version of that, sure.
Got it, yeah, and things like that.
But in India they do, like, you buy a car and you're doing a yagya for your car. You ever see that? Like little swastikas on new cars in India?
Little puja, yeah.
Little car puja. In household life, one is ordered to execute many yagyas and fruitive activities, especially in the vivaha yagya, the marriage ceremony of the sons and daughters, and the sacred thread ceremony. These are all the duties of the householder, and they are very extensive and troublesome to execute. They are compared to a big hill over which one must cross when one is attached to material activities.
Even things like Christmas, right, is like you're looking at your bank account, you're saying, okay, I got to buy all these gifts, we got to invite all these people over, we got to do, and a lot of times for a lot of people, that's kind of like an equivalent, like the ritual that you perform, that you're religiously required to perform. And you know what I'm saying?
That's you're comparing Christmas shopping to a Vedic yagya. Is that what's going on right now?
In a sense, it's like, okay, there's this day that we need to honor. It's going to require investments of money. It's going to require satisfying different people in different ways, and it just stresses you out.
Sure.
You come out the other end and you're like, oh God.
Let's bring in Mara for a second. Mara, jump over here and let's talk about anxiety at weddings. Come on, Mara.
Because she's
Mara is not a wedding planner per se. What is your title? What to do with weddings?
Caterer, but I've also been event coordinator for weddings as well.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of
It's not a
anxiety
role
there?
I love, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like it to be like the best day of their life, and then it's like a thunderstorm rolls through, and they have to, rethink the rain plan for their party. I mean, we've had hurricane warnings, or tornado warnings rather, at weddings where it's like, we need to announce the evacuation plan to all of our guests right now.
And why don't you talk about sort of like the people's mood in these weddings? Some of the people are like cruel, vicious, yelling at you.
Yeah, occasionally. Occasionally you deal with some really difficult people. I mean, they're just stressed out. They want everything to be perfect and like sort of have their focus on the wrong things, the wrong details.
There's a lot of social pressure that comes with it, that we're going to put on the show of hey, look at our family, right?
Yeah.
We're together. We when we do this, we do it right. And so the dress is going to be very expensive, and the food is going to be in the place, and it's totally you're watching your bank account just like go under. Even you're going into debt for this, and then a little thing starts to go wrong with it, and you're like, my God, I paid all this money, and now this is going wrong, and people start to freak out.
Yeah, it's also like, I mean, I feel so bad because so often like wedding clients, I'm like, okay, how do you want it to be? Like, what would you like for your menu? And they're like, I don't care, whatever people like, whatever you think will be
You
good.
think goes over well.
Yeah, and it's like, and they're like have to do things, the way that their grandmother wants them to do it because she's going to be there and she's the matriarch, or they have to invite people they don't want to invite because they were invited to their wedding. So it's like the correct, socially correct thing to do. It's like there's so many things that you end up with this event that's like not, you're paying all of this money for, and it's not even how you want it necessarily.
Right.
All right.
So that's one example.
More misery, please. Let us.
And there's the bar mitzvah. There's all these different things. People have to go through. Funerals.
Funerals can be fun, believe it or not.
Very expensive, very depressing.
Expensive for a funeral.
Yeah.
That's why I like these. Let's stop. Let's just stop this.
Okay, so let's continue this verse.
Did you ever see these things now where they plant you've heard of that? Plant the body.
Oh yeah, they make it like fertilizer kind of.
It's not legal. It's only legal in a couple states. It makes more sense than anything. You plant a body with a tree or something like that, and it fertilizes the tree. I know. Otherwise, what have we done? Even the industry of death is. Okay.
We're still in text 18 here.
Let's continue with misery.
These are all the duties.
A person desiring. They are all compared to a big hill over which one must cross when one is attached to material activities. A person desiring to cross over these ritualistic ceremonies certainly feels pains like the piercing of thorns and pebbles endured by ones attempting to climb a hill. Thus, the conditioned soul suffers unlimitedly. Just analyzing suffering, not, we're just analyzing it.
Okay, right.
Okay. Sometimes due to bodily hunger and thirst. Mara just clicked me out of the help. Sometimes due to hunger and thirst. The conditioned soul becomes so disturbed that he loses his patience and becomes angry with his own beloved sons, daughters, and wife. Oh, didn't I do this yesterday? Mara's laughing. I lost it yesterday. I was screaming at everyone. Yesterday.
Really?
She came over to calm me down, and I screamed at her.
Mara, what happened? Take the mic.
It's true. He yelled at all his kids, and then he tried to yell at me. And I was like, why are you yelling at me? I haven't done anything wrong.
You know what I did? You know what I did for calming? Guess.
To calm everybody down?
No, to calm himself down. He mowed his lawn.
I mowed the lawn.
Okay.
And then guess what happened? My mower overheated.
You see, that's the force of, this is exactly it. This is the force of material enjoyment. It's like one thing after another, you know?
I lost it yesterday.
Thus being unkind to
Thus, being unkind to them, he suffers all the more.
He's driving on that big lawnmower with the mind going crazy.
It's the only
Mara's
thing
over
that
there
keeps
watching
me
him.
calm.
Okay, he's working it out in his way.
You know what? You will never know. You will never know the joy I experience on that Kubota tractor. Okay. Sukadev Goswami continued. Let's get Kastuba mowing when he comes up here. Serious, Kastuba. You and the lawn.
I don't like big loud machines like that, you know?
I've got headphones. You wear like ear
I
noise
think,
blockers.
why don't you let all that grass grow and let all the butterflies come in? Haven't you seen those kind of things? That's the thing now, not to have some big lawn.
Is that the thing?
It is.
Are you telling me what the thing
Mr.
is?
Permaculture over here.
You're saying selective mowing? Is that what you're leading me towards? Yes, we do selective mowing too. Sometimes the kids like to play
There's
soccer.
a thing called no mow May. You're supposed to, for all May, let it go so that all, I assume, so that all these other kind of creatures can benefit from it.
Yeah, then you got other issues you're dealing with in June.
Well, you were out there mowing,
Called
trying to work
ruin
out your internal issues.
Ruin your tractor in June. Yeah, what's going to be my therapy if I go no mow May?
You don't know that you don't need therapy when you do that. Everything feels good.
Yes, are you kidding? Do you know what happens to a lawn that gets unmowed? You get you think you're gonna just have a field of flowers. You're not. You're gonna get saplings growing in there, all different types of like thorny.
Nature happens, Raghunath.
I know, and our job is to
mow it down.
work with it. Work with it.
All right. Okay. Next text.
I
20.
think it's time, Prabhu. It's
Is
7 a.m.
Oh, 7. Okay. All right. We're not even halfway through this forest, Raghunath. We got to move faster.
Why am I angry at Kastuba right now? I'm actually angry at you, and I can't. I haven't identified why.
Because I threatened your release of mowing the lawn. I questioned it.
It's like me stealing your japa beads. Okay, I'm taking your beads then.
Jan on my hands.
Yeah, please, Mara, help me. Help me right now. We've studied misery. Kastuba says I shouldn't mow. Vegan trucker writes on the board, no mow May.
Everyone's judging you, Raghunath.
Judging me for mowing. Mowing's important.
I think it was yelling at Mara that's what's really inside. That's the whole thing. It's not the mowing.
I apologized to her.
That's true, we did.
Okay.
All right. I got some good takeaways. Certainty and security are a mirage.
Yes.
You reading
True,
the chat
Raghu?
board?
I'm reading the chat board.
Love and love alone really matters.
That's right. We can't hear you, Raghunath. We gotta go.
Mow.
Fame is a baited hook. We can't handle Krishna's opulences.
Let him have the.
You can't handle it.
That's right.
Everything we've got is meant to offer back.
Yeah.
Beware of asking blessings from holy people. Material
So-called
blessings.
holy people, especially.
Yeah. Debt brings anxiety.
What does?
Debt brings
Death.
anxiety.
Yeah. No, I thought you said death.
Yeah,
Death.
death brings peace.
And
what is it?
We're on the and already?
surrender to laughing yoga.
No.
Yes,
No.
Kostuba.
Nothing
There,
wrong
I
with
feel
laughing,
better
but
now.
Why laugh artificially? Like, are we really that pitiful that we all have to get together and say, okay, let's all start to laugh now?
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah, you
find
know
a
what,
reason-
Kostuba? There's a pain in this world. And you know what? One way to deal with it is to laugh. Laughter is the best medicine.
I'm
you've
not
ever
saying you
heard.
shouldn't
It's a
laugh.
famous quote.
I'm not saying you
Laughter
shouldn't
is
laugh,
the
but I'm
best
saying
medicine. Do you
it's
like
not
medicine?
even real laughter.
Do you like medicine?
It's not even real
When
laughter.
you're sick?
I don't need fake medicine like some kind of.
It's not fake
placebo.
medicine. It's holistic. It's healthy. It's
Fake.
it's natural.
Phony.
It's the most natural medicine you can have. Are you kidding?
It's phony. I'm all for laughing. I just don't want to pretend I'm laughing.
It's not.
It's pretending.
It's not. It's contagious. It's wonderful. Ah,
Pathetic. That's what
it's not pathetic.
it is.
Being people joyful is not. It's wonderful.
No, but pretending you're joyful, that's the pathetic thing.
Fernanda, and when we go to Italy, and Mara,
the pretending
we're
I'm
gonna get
talking
together. We're gonna hold hands, and I'm gonna lead. I'm gonna lead it. I'm gonna be your laughing yoga teacher guide. We're gonna hold hands together in a foursome circle, and we're just gonna laugh. And Chief Pag and Lori are gonna be there too. We're gonna hold their hand too, and we're just gonna start laughing. I'm gonna lead. I'm gonna lead. And then Lori is also a yoga 300-hour trained laughing yoga instructor as well. She will start laughing, and then I will start laughing.
No, I'm not.
And then Amarananda, well, he's going to start laughing. And then Mara, she's going to put down her needles, and she's going to start laughing. Young Tommy Fawcett's going to start laughing. He's going to be in the circle too. And Kastuba, he won't want to laugh.
I'm not going to
All of a
laugh.
sudden, his face gets lighter. His anxiety melts.
I'm laughing right now, I don't need
He
this.
smiles, and then he tackles Amarananda, and they start rolling around.
I'm laughing right now. Why do we need to? People pay money to come and take a class on how to laugh? That's pitiful.
Laughing yoga class is free.
That is pitiful.
Free. No money. There's no money involved. It's all for Guru and Krishna.
Well, even the fact that you have to take a class to learn how to laugh.
You know what? Some people are absorbed in Maya and misery. They need help. We're here to help them. That's why I offer my 300-hour
Well, this is a point.
laughing
Rogan.
yoga teacher training,
What you
Yoga
just said,
Alliance certified.
Rogan, what you just said, that perfectly captures, because what we just read today was like we're suffering, we need some relief. Laughing yoga is like a shallow river. You dive
No,
into
it's quite a deep river.
and then you
it's quite a
crack
deep
your
river.
head on that laughing.
It's quite a deep. It's like a quarry. Laughing yoga is like a quarry.
a shallow one.
It's like you could use a rope swing, like jumping off a cliff into a quarry. That's what.
How about a
laughing
little
yoga
goat
is.
yoga with that, Raghunath, too? A little bit of
Goat
that.
yoga doesn't make you laugh. Goats are dirty. They sometimes nibble at you.
I would rather
They'll
spend
eat all
time
your
with a
plants.
nice goat than do laughing yoga. Sorry.
Me and Lori are not masters of goat yoga. We're still working on that. I will do partner laughing yoga or partner goat yoga. That's what I'm certified for.